بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين جل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of history of Shia Islam in the 4th and 5th century. We talked about Sheikh Kulaini rahmatullah alayhi, we talked about Rabi rahmatullah alayhi. Now the next scholar of this period is Sheikh Saduq Ridwanullah ta'ala alayhi, Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Hussein ibn Musa ibn Babawai Qummi. Sometimes just they say Ibn Babawai to him and his father. So his title is Saduq. Saduq means someone who is very honest and very truthful. So he was born in the holy city of Qom in the year 306 or 307 after Hijrah and passed away in 301 when he was 76 years old, around about. And he is buried in Hazrat Abdul Azim in Shahr Ray, the city of Ray, southern Tehran. And he's there. You can, ask any local, and they will show you where it is. So before I go to details about his life, it's interesting to mention something which is in a box for further study. And that is about the way he was born through the prayer of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. His father, Ali ibn Hussein, he had no children, and he requested through writing a letter and sending to Imam alayhi salam that Imam kindly prays for him to have child. Najashi, in his famous and very reliable book, one of the most important sources of Ilm al-Rajal is Rajal of Najashi. So he says that then this reply was sent to him in writing, قَدْ دَعَوْنَا لَكَ بِذَلِكَ. We prayed for you to be granted what you wanted. So for your request we prayed. وَسَتُرْزَقُ وَلَدَيْنِ ذَكَرَيْنِ خَيِّرَيْنِ. And you will be given 2 sons who will be, very good, very righteous. So although he was old, but Allah gave him 2 sons. And one of them is Sheikh Saduq, and whose kunya was Abu Ja'far, and the other one is Abu Abdullah, another son. So Sheikh Saduq was always very happy that he was born with the dua of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Okay, so Sheikh Saduq is considered as the greatest muhaddith, a scholar of hadith, faqih and rajali, expert in ilm al-rajal, from the school of Qom, from the school of hadith of Qom, Maktab Hadithi Qom. So among the scholars of Qom, he is considered to be the highest. They call him even sometimes Ra'isul Muhaddithin. Ra'isul Muhaddithin, the head of the scholars of hadith, and Saduq al-Ta'ifa. Among his students, one may refer to Sheikh Mufid, that inshallah we will talk about him tonight, and Sayyid Murtada. So these two great scholars were students of Sheikh Saduq. Of course, Sayyid Murtada was a student of Sheikh Mufid as well. So one of the students was teacher of the other student as well. He was very much dedicated to his work. He traveled a lot. Inshallah, in the book you will see on the map the routes of his travels. So his idea was that he should go and benefit from the teachers, sheikhs, masters of hadith, and also share hadith of the Ahlul Bayt whenever there is opportunity. He went to Bukhara, to Neshabur, Tus, Isfahan, Baghdad, and in these trips he received hadith from 260 people. So these people were so dedicated in that time. They were traveling and going from one city to another city to see if anyone has some knowledge to benefit from. In one of these trips, he was asked by one of the respected people to compile a book about halal and haram, about religious rulings. And he compiled Man la yahduruhu al-faqih in response to that, which became one of our 4 major collections of hadith, Kutub Arba'ih. One of them is Man la yahduruhu al-faqih by Sheikh Saduq. One of them is Kafi by Kulaini. 2 of them are Tahzib and Istibsar by Sheikh Tusi, Rizwanullah ta'ala alayh. Even his book, Kamaluddin wa Tamamun Ni'mah, also he says in the beginning of the book that he compiled it because in some of his trips, he saw some people were confused about the ideas of Imam Mahdi and Akhir al-Time, so he compiled this book. So he traveled a lot and he was very careful in registering hadith. He is said that he authored and compiled more than 300 works, mashallah, 300 books. Man la yahduru al-faqih is one of them, which has about 6,000 hadiths. Uyun akhbar al-Rida alayhi salam, about hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam, about his life, and hadith from Ilal al-Shara'i, about philosophy behind the legislation of some of the rulings. Kamaluddin wa Tamamun Ni'mah, about Imam Mahdi and Ghaiba and duties of those who await Imam Mahdi. Al-I'tiqadat, al-Aqaid. There is also a box here about Hazrat Abdul Azim, because we said he was buried next, close to the shrine of Hazrat Abdul Azim. So there is a box here about Hazrat Abdul Azim. He was one of the progeny of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. We don't know exactly when he was born or when he passed away, but we know that he was during the life of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. He was their companion, and he has benefited from their knowledge. He has quoted hadith from them. And it is interesting that Ma'soom, Imam alayhi salam, used to refer people to him. And also, the story of Imam al-Hadi, saying that ziyarah of Abdul Azim al-Hassani is like ziyarah of Karbala. We don't know exactly why he moved to Ray, but it is very likely that he went there because he was very much known and respected, and the people of power and position at that time, they were after him. So he had a kind of low profile life. He tried to be keeping quiet, not drawing attention to himself. He went to Shahr Ray, or city of Ray. From history we can realize that he had many contacts in Ray, and many people were interested in his akhlaq and knowledge, and therefore we can guess that he must be there for several years. Although we don't know exactly when he went there, when he passed away, but he must have been there for several years, because he didn't have that much public gathering that in few days you can be known to people. So he was making mostly personal relations with people.
Okay.
So this was about Hazrat Abdul Azim al-Hassani. The next scholar of this period is Sheikh Mufid Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayh. He was born in 338 and passed away in 413. So he is in the beginning of Ghaybat Kubra. Sheikh Saduq was partly in Ghaybat Suqra, partly in Ghaybat Kubra, but Sheikh Mufid is in Ghaybat Kubra. He is one of the very influential people in the history of Shia, especially in the fields of fiqh, aqaid. His name is Muhammad ibn Nu'man, and his title is Mufid. There is a story why he was known as Mufid, which is in the section for further study. I will share with you this story. You might maybe have heard, especially if you have studied Ilm Kalam, about the Mu'tazilites, and one of the key figures is Qadi Abdul Jabbar al-Mu'tazili. Qadi Abdul Jabbar al-Mu'tazili. So he had circle of dars, giving lectures, and Sunnis, sometimes Shias, were attending his lectures. One day, Sheikh Mufid went to his circle and sat close to the door. So, after some time, Sheikh Mufid said, could you give me permission to ask a question? So shall I ask a question in the presence of these scholars? Very humbly, he said. So Qazi said, yes. So Sheikh Mufid said, the Shia say that the Messenger of God on the day of Ghadir said, Man kuntu mawlah fa'aliyun mawlah. Is this authentic hadith, or Shia have fabricated this hadith? Qazi said, no, this is authentic. He said, what is the meaning of Mawla? Sheikh Mufid asked after, because Mu'tazilites, Ash'arites, these were two Sunni groups, in science of Kalam. He said, we have Mutakallimin, we have Ahl Hadith. There are different groups, but two of the Sunni groups of mutakallimin are Ash'arite and Mu'tazilite. Mu'tazilite were closer to the Shia. They were accepting reason, and divine justice for them was very important. But they were anyway Sunni. So he said, is this hadith authentic or Shia have fabricated this? He said, no, it is authentic. He said, then what is the meaning of Mawla? Interestingly, Qazi Abdul Jabbar said it means mastership, to have priority. You know, as you know, Prophet before that said, Man alastu awla bikum min anfusikum qalu bala. And this refers to the ayah, an-nabiyyu awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim. So it's a matter of priority and having more right over them, more authority over them than they have over themselves. So Sheikh Mufid said, if Ali, according to Prophet's saying, which you say it is authentic, if Ali is master and has priority, then why there is so much conflict between Shia and Sunni? Qazi Abdul Jabbar said, oh brother, this hadith, referring to Hadith Ghadir, is rewayah. Khilafah of Abu Bakr is dirayah. Dirayah means knowledge, means this is a matter of fact. We know that Abu Bakr, after the Prophet, was Khalifa. This is fact. But the meaning of Mawla is rewayah. This is reported, and it's about this hadith. And an intelligent person, a rational person, would not leave aside diraya for the sake of rewaya. When Khalifa is Abu Bakr as a matter of fact, so we should go by this. Okay, so it's not a good argument, but he was saying that one is diraya. Of course, diraya has to be prioritized over rewaya, but diraya means something which has a rational basis, not something that just has happened. Many things can happen that be wrong. So Sheikh Mufid didn't argue with him here, tried to bring a counter example. So Sheikh Mufid said, what do you say about this hadith that the Prophet said, Ya Ali, harbuka harbi wa silmuka silmi. Fighting you is like fighting me. Being at peace with you is like being at peace with me. He said, this is sahih, this is authentic. Then Sheikh Mufid said, then who waged the war of Jamal? They were in war with Ali, so they are in war with Rasulullah. Qazi said, oh brother, they, referring to Talha and Zubair, who were leaders of Jamal, they made tawbah. They made mistake. So he accepted that they made mistake, but he said they made tawbah, so it's forgiven. Then Sheikh Mufid said, Battle of Jamal is diraya. Everyone knows that there was such a battle. But tawbah of Talha and Zubair is riwayah, it's not fact. So diraya is more important than riwayah. Then Qazi Abdul Jabbar didn't know what to answer. And after a while, he said, who are you? He said, I am your servant, Muhammad ibn Nu'man. Then Qazi Abdul Jabbar, who seems to be a nice person, took the hand of Sheikh Mufid and asked him to sit in his place. And he said, Antal Mufidu Haqqa. Mufid means the one who benefits, but it was a title for teacher as well. If you read Munyatul Murid, it said fi adab al-mufid wal-mustafid. So Mufid is the one who benefits by teaching. Mustafid is the one who benefits from by learning. So he said, you are Mufid, meaning you are to teach. You are the person who can teach and benefit people. Some scholars who were in the gathering, they were not happy with this decision of Qadi Abdul Jabbar. So the teacher is happy, but some students are not happy. So they objected. Qadi Abdul Jabbar said, I couldn't answer. If you can answer him, you can try. But no one dared, giving any answer because he didn't have any answer. So Sheikh Mufid was established in that day, and this title became later popular. It is reported by those who are very careful in in this field of fihrist and proper indexing, etc., that he had about 175 books and essays, mashallah. Some of the very famous ones are Al-Muqna'ah in fiqh. Muqna'ah means something that would convince. Awa'ilul Maqalat in Kalam. Al-Irshad in history, which is, alhamdulillah, available in English. And many other books. Sheikh Mufid is one of the people who contributed a lot to the development of fiqh among the Shia. And in, especially methodology of fiqh, he helped a lot. He was also well known for his socio-political theories. For example, the idea that there is a need for a political system in Muslim society, and that in the absence of Imam, a just and adil faqih should be leading the community. He used to have lots of meetings with scholars from other madhahib. He was in Baghdad, so sometimes, he was invited by Abbasid caliphs to attend meeting of scholars of mazahib, and sometimes in his own house, ulama were gathering. Ulama of Mu'tazila, Zaydiyya, Ismailiyya, Shia, Isna-Ashari, of course, they were all there. He had good relation with Buwayhids, and the Buwayhids kings also were respecting him, and this was useful for the community, this relation. One of the interesting things is that Sheikh Mufid, especially because of the good relation that he had with the Buwayhids, was able to be in touch with a large, vast area in the Muslim world. For example, we have some of his works as collection of replies to the people from Nishabur, so from Baghdad. People from Nishabur were asking him questions and he was answering to them. Or people in Sari, in northern Iran near Caspian Sea. So he was well known, he was receiving inquiries, answering to these inquiries. It's very interesting. Another figure in this period is Sayyid Murtada Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayh. Sayyid Murtada and Sayyid al-Razi both were students of Sheikh Mufid. You know the famous story that Sheikh Mufid had a dream that the lady Fatima Salamullah alayha took Hassanain, Imam Hassan and Hussein, as very young boys, to him and said to Sheikh Mufid, Ya Sheikh, allimhum al-fiqh. O Sheikh, teach them fiqh. When he woke up, he was perplexed. What does it mean? Who am I to teach Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein? What does it mean? So he was, looking for a kind of answer. Then mother of Sayyid Razi and Sayyid Murtada, that apparently her name was also Fatima, brought these two young Sayyids, who were very young, and said, please teach them fiqh. So this was interpretation of his dream. And these two, with teaching and guidance of Sheikh Mufid, became great scholars. So Sayyid al-Razi was a great man, a very pious person who compiled Nahj al-Balaghi. He was expert in adab of Arabic. But his brother Sayyid Murtada is even more important when it comes to the public life and leadership. So Sayyid Murtada was born in 355 and passed away in 436. 355 to 436. Ali ibn Hussein ibn Musa, known as Sayyid Murtada or Alamul Huda, one of the greatest Shia scholars in the history, and in his own time he became the leader of the Shia. After Sheikh Mufid, Marja'iyya of the Shia was with Sayyid Murtada. In Kalam, in Fiqh, in Usul al-Fiqh, in different Islamic sciences, he was an expert. His book, Al-Dhari'a, not Al-Dhari'a, Al-Dhari'a in Arabic means excuse, but Al-Dhari'a means. His book, Al-Dhari'a, is one of the earliest books on Usul al-Fiqh, which is developed. We have earlier books, but it's maybe the first kind of comprehensive and methodic book on Usul al-Fiqh. And from that time, Usul al-Fiqh of Shia became more and more distinct from Sunni Usul al-Fiqh. He contributed to the development of fiqh, continued the job of his teacher Sheikh Mufid, and then he was followed by Sheikh Tusi. Inshallah, we will talk about Sheikh Tusi next week. These three developed the science of fiqh very much in the Shia. He compiled about 80 works, 80 books. Al-Intisar in fiqh, Al-Dhari'a in Usul al-Fiqh, Al-Shafi in Ilm al-Kalam, Al-Amali in Hadith and Tafsir, and Tayf al-Khayal in literature. He had official position to look after the affairs of the Sayyid and Shia, and also he was very rich because of his family and his personal inheritance, etc. He was very rich, and he had made his own house a place for like a madrasa for people to go. And also very interesting maybe for you to know that he made one village as endowment. Whatever is produced in agriculture in that village would be used for providing students with paper. So, as you know, scholars and the students were benefiting for having paper. He was giving financial aid to his students also. Even if someone was non-Muslim, so he didn't, restrict it to Muslims. So it is said that there was a Jewish person who had financial problems, so decided to attend his lectures. And said, didn't mind, gave him like, other talabe. And then this person, after listening to Sayyid, was interested and then later became Muslim. He passed away in the city of Baghdad and then was moved to Karbala and is buried close to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. One of the interesting things that we find about Sayyid Murtada is that his books, even in his own time, were very much respected, either by people who were in favor of them, or even some people who were his opponents were commenting on his books. Because, in Hawzawi style, if you comment, you do, say Hashiya, if you comment on a book, even if it is criticism, it means that that book is a good book, has value. Otherwise, you don't waste your time. So, during his life, despite the problems, of printing, there was no printing at that time, it was handwriting. His books were known. Even what is more interesting is, sometimes actually before he finished the book, it was circulated. It was so much, demanded that, for example, maybe if he had given to someone to check, to comment, or if people were, making notes, then sometimes the book was out. And it was difficult for Sayyid because he wanted to finish and, check and review. So sometimes, therefore it is very important that our scholars always check, who has got this book. The author must be known. The student of the author who received permission from him also must be known. If someone without permission reports, then they may not trust. Because it's not like today that when they print, all the copies are identical. In the past, they had to check all these details. Even when he was young, he was known, and from different parts of the Muslim world, people were writing to him and asking for, guidance. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we studied Sheikh Saduq, Sheikh Mufid, and Sayyid Murtada, Rizwanullah ta'ala alayhim. Inshallah, we will talk about Sheikh Tusi and Ibn Sina. Both of them are for this period in the next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.